We have a warning. You know what I love about what's happening with Paul Ryan right now is he's like this classic case of like, you know, compared to like most Republican politicians, he's smarter. He looks better. Seems like not as weird. But he's like an incredibly overrated person in all ways. And mostly that has to do with just like who he's surrounded by. And what I love about this is that this is a person who is not dumb, but he's not remotely as smart as he thinks he is. And all of his little tactics that he's tried of like, I'm going to be Speaker of the House, but the Freedom Caucus is going to kowtow to me. Nope. I'm going to endorse Donald Trump, but not really. And somehow it's all going to work. Nope. It's just sliding into further and further desperation as his little window to run for president shrinks and he becomes more and more Reince Priebus like every day. And here he is out on the trail giving a talking point which will actually probably motivate more Democrats and progressives to get out the vote than anything Hillary Clinton has said all election cycle. Let's take a look at Paul Ryan telling people in Madison what the power of the Senate means and rests on.
If we lose the Senate, do you know who becomes the chairman of the Senate Budget Committee? A guy named Bernie Sanders. You ever heard of him? This just tells you what we would be dealing with in a divided government if we lose control of the Senate.
It would be so terrible because you'd have programs that might make students not be enslaved by debt. And then you'd have more poor people have access to food and clothing and shelter. And then there might even be some regulations that stop Wall Street from detonating the economy. And there might be some fiscal stimulus. So in short, you'd have less people in extreme poverty, a better middle class, and slightly more accountability in the corporate sector. I mean, could you imagine anything more dystopian and nightmarish than that? House Republican side, we've got a plan where we torture poor people, throw poor kids out of their homes, and make people have less food, shelter, opportunity, and access. And then in exchange, we let Donald Trump wants to build some sort of statue of himself if he's president that's made out of like some type of like nuclear runoff. And I say, fine, in exchange for tax cuts, no problem.
Hey, it's Sam Seder. Why don't you subscribe to this channel? You can do so right over here. Over. Subscribe.